right, well, hey there, seventh graders. Welcome to your video lesson for week 8. This is 1-6. So this is going to be 2 short videos. This is because we have conferences next week and a teacher workday on Monday. So your job is to watch the video, fill in the notes, and there'll be a code embedded in this video and the next one, and you'll write at the top of your homework assignment to validate that you watched the videos. All right? So, and we do have a secret spy in each grade level that is going to try to trick you with a fake code. So don't fall for the fake code. All right. So here we go. I'll move my picture out of the way. We know what I look like. And so what our standards are this week is we have solving problems with rational numbers. Okay, so that's all 4 of the operations: multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. And those are negative and positive numbers that include integers, which are whole numbers on both sides of the 0, decimals, and fractions. So we can go right to our notes. And again, if you don't have these notes, you can print them out. If you don't have them, they're in the Canvas page. Or take notes as you need, but it is in the Canvas page. So Tomas works as an underwater photographer. He starts at a depth of 20 feet, he ascends 9 feet, then he descends 12 feet, and then descends 15 more feet. Write and simplify an expression to find his depth. So first off, we need to understand what ascend is and descend, right? So let's use a positive sign for when the diver ascends and a negative or minus sign for when the diver descends. Okay, so what does he start at? Well, he starts at negative 20 feet. He starts at a depth of 20 feet. Now, you can't be above the water and be an underwater photographer, so we know that it's negative 20. So again, some of this is reading and understanding what those words really imply. All right, so when the diver ascends, we would add. So you want to circle that add, or your handwriting, this part right here for part A. You add that distance. And when the diver descends, you subtract that distance. You could also think about it in terms of adding a negative or subtracting a positive. So I want you to kind of pause and think about how you would write this equation and pause. All right, so hopefully you paused. So again, it does you no good just to copy without thinking about it. So we're going to start at that negative 20. So Tomas started at negative 20. And remember, I talked about in class and in Zoom lessons, I think it's good to kind of separate each of these terms with a squiggly line. That way we kind of know what we're doing here. And it kind of, it puts them in envelopes, if you will, to be able to solve and keep things organized. So what's the next thing Tomas does? Well, he then ascends. So we're going to ascend 9 feet. So we're plus 9. So right now I think he's 11 feet below. And now we're descending, so we're going to subtract 12 feet. All right? So now we are at probably negative 23. And then he dives and descends another 15, so we're subtracting 15. So when we have negative 20 plus a positive 9 minus a 12 minus a 15, you can, again, like I said, you can also think about it in terms of adding negatives, right? You can think about that, adding negatives and combining those terms. It might be a good idea to combine all the negative numbers and then add that 1. Oops, this is wrong. I didn't mean to make that a negative there. So we could combine all the negative terms and then subtract the 9. And so what we get here is when we add or subtract to simplify the expression, this is what it's written as. And then the total depth is going to be minus 38. So in word form, you wouldn't say the diver dove negative 38 feet. When you use words like dive and depth, that implies negative numbers or values. So his depth is at 38 feet. Or you could write negative 38 feet if you were talking in number form. So how can, as we reflect, how can we tell that the depth for Tomas will be deeper than 20 feet negative without doing any calculations? I want you to pause the video and think about that. How can you tell mentally that it'll be deeper than 20 feet before you use calculations? All right, hopefully you paused and did some work on this, right? So here's a sample answer. So the two descents have greater absolute value than one ascent that he makes. So this -12 and this -15 both exceed the absolute value. So he's going farther down than he's going up, right? So it's important that we understand that mentally, like, oh, when we do this math, this is going to be a negative. And at far, the three negative values, -20 and a -12 and a -15, gets us to what, -47 feet. So we know that 47 feet, and then we add a +9, that gets us to still 38 feet below. All right, I want you to try this. I'm going to read the question, and then I would like you to pause and hopefully work on it on your own. One share of Mountain Computers starts trading at $6 at the beginning of the day. The price goes up by $3. Then it goes down by $2.25, goes down by $1.50, goes up by $3.75, and goes down by $5. Write and simplify an expression of the closing price of one share at the end of the day. Push pause, and we'll see how you do. All right, so now hopefully you've got an answer for 1B. For 1C, Anna is collecting samples in a cavern and starts 40 feet underground. She ascends 11 feet, ascend going up, descends 13 feet, going down, descends another 5 feet, but then ascends and goes up 18 feet. So write and simplify an expression. So find the answer, but write it out in number form, like right up here. Push pause, and I'll be back with you in a moment. All right, so we're going to get to these two answers in the next video, okay, if we have time. So I want to go to the next section, in example 2. And again, the big question is, how do we solve multi-step problems with rational numbers? Multi-step. Okay, so it's not just going to be -3 times 5. So here's the table. Now here's all the data you need that gives the high temperatures for 1 week during the winter. Find the average daily high temperatures for the week. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. So we are dealing with decimal numbers with whole numbers. So Monday, -4.5 degrees. Tuesday, -3 degrees. Wednesday's a positive, so above 0. Thursday's -1.5 degrees. Friday's -2 degrees. Saturday's above 0 at 3 degrees. And Sunday is the coldest at -5. So we can fill this part in together. So you're basically going to just write an equation with those numbers. We're just going to go left to right. All right, so I'm using Monday is already written here for you, and then Tuesday through Sunday. So we're going to have to combine these terms. One way you could do it basically is I'm going to add all of my negative numbers together so I have a really large negative, and then I can add positive numbers at the end to kind of get us closer to 0. And when we deal with averages, what do we divide by? When we find the average of something. Well, if you said that you're going to count the number of entries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's what you divide by, the number of days. So the total temperature divided by the number of days. So first we're going to use our order of operations in algebra to help us, right? So first step is to add all the numbers in the numerator at the top, adding negative and positive numbers. The second step will be then to divide by the number in the denominator. So what is the value of the average? Then we'll divide it by the 7 days. So I went at liberty to kind of go ahead here, and we added all of these integers, excuse me, not integers, some of them are decimal numbers, these temperatures, and we got negative 11 degrees. So if I went negative 4.5, and then another negative 3 is negative 7.5, negative 7.5, now negative 9, negative 11, negative 16, and then I'm going to add my positives. So I have 16 negative plus 5. That gets me at negative 11 degrees, divided by the 7 days. And then I can use my calculator and divide. So I'm going to go, the number on top goes on top, negative 7, or excuse me, negative 11 divided by 7. Gets me a really, really large number, right? So 11 divided by 7. But it said to, again, to put it in the nearest tenth. So what would that be? And again, this is going to be negative 1.5 something because we had a negative divided by a positive. The days are positive. You can't have negative days, right? So 7 days. And so we actually got 1.6 degrees below 0, or negative 1.6. Why again? We rounded that. So that 700th will actually elevate the tenth, so it becomes 1.6, that nearest tenth that's here or there. So the average daily temperature was negative 1.6 degrees Fahrenheit, so below when water freezes, which is totally possible. You can have temperatures below 0. So the question I have for you is, do you include the negative signs of the negative numbers in the average? Yes, you would include those. Those are a part of the numbers. That's what they mean. So I'm going to have you try this on 2A. Try this. All right. Marcy is digging a hole to plant a tree. She digs 1 foot below ground each day for 5 days. Write and simplify an expression to show the total of feet that she dug below ground. So try that. Push pause. I'm going to actually read 2B also, and so I want you to push pause as you need to. 2B reads, the table gives the daily high temperatures for 1 week and during the winter, and find the average daily high temperature for the week. Again, we're going to divide by the number of entries. Again, we're going to round our answer to the nearest tenth. Just like we did up here, we rounded 1.573 to 1.6, and it still stayed negative. Push pause, and we'll jump back in. All right, I hope you paused and got some work done here. So before we jump back into that, here is the code. The code at the top of your homework that you're going to write is going to be your birthday. Okay? So if my birthday is August 29th, I'm going to do 829. If your birthday is March 10th, like that. That's your code. Okay. So before we jump in to this last part, I want to go back to our answers that we looked at for 1B, and we got the closing price was $4. This is 1B. So we wrote the expression 6 plus that negative 3, right? We trade at 6, then it goes down by 3. We subtract another $2.25 because it goes down. We subtract another $1.50 because it goes down, but then it goes up $3.75, and then it goes down again by 5, and we combine all those terms. The closing price was $4. And on 1C, we have negative 40 plus 11 minus minus 13 minus 5 plus 18. That gets us to an answer of negative 29. And if in word form, final location is a negative 29 feet, or 29 feet below level. And finally, the last part, Marcy dug a tree, so she had 5 times a negative 1 because she had a positive 5 days, and she did negative 1 foot, and when you multiply that gets you negative 5, and your answer form would be 5 feet below ground.